this is Elisan, and welcome to another awesome episode of the interview series Beyond Business Conversations with Women Who Have It All. And today I have this wonderful woman, and it's really interesting because at the entire series, this is like the most woo-woo conversation that I've ever had. I mean, I'm woo-woo, you are woo, I assume. But it's all about the card reading, the belief system at the different levels. But this is really about the goddess and the goddesses and the whole initiation process, which I have not heard in years. I mean, during my spiritual journey, I was obsessed with the Egyptian goddesses, like Isis. I'm connected to the Cyrus. I think the planet is called, I can't remember right now. And what's that? What's that? The other, her husband, what's the name? Osiris.
Virus.
Yeah, and see, I mean, it's there. I did that, but it was just there, and this is such a memory. It's going down memory lane again. So anyway, if you're new to my work, my name is Elise, and from EliseN.com, and I help spiritual entrepreneurs with their money marketing mindset so that they can have the guts and courage to charge what they're worth, take their message out there in a much bigger way, and make good money consistently to live the rich life. So today, I have Alaya with me, and without further ado, let me bring her up, and so that you can experience that as well. Here you go, Alaya.
Hi.
So tell us, I'm so intrigued. I mean, it's not Isis, it's not Mary, it's not Guan Yin. So who is this goddess?
So Neith is personified as the primordial waters of creation, and contrary to popular belief, she really didn't originate in ancient Kemet, which is another word for Egypt. She has pre-dynastic origins, which was more in ancient Libya. And ancient Libya in pre-dynastic times consisted of most of northern Africa, so she's not specific to Egypt, though she did migrate to Egypt. So Neith, as the personification of the primordial waters of creation, what she teaches is one's ability to create themselves from themselves. Because at her temple, one of her inscriptions was, "I created myself." So, and with what you're saying, why not Isis? Why not Hathor or Sekma? Or Kuan Yin? I think it's fascinating to have something emergent in a time where a lot of people are wanting to know how to go about presenting themselves or discovering themselves. How do they do that? Where do they look? And the best way is to start from within. So how do they do that? What are the tools that they can use? And what is a good guidepost or a good map that can assist them on that journey? So and Neith is a pretty good start, because she teaches you to start from within so that you can get it out.
So you talked about her saying you create yourself by yourself. So where does God come in this situation, in this this belief?
So it's not, the thing about the primordial waters is that everything comes from within, from outside, from out of it. So the concept of God or goddess or male and female, that's a dualistic point of view. It's a separation of the whole. And through this perspective, it's a matter of understanding the concept between masculine and feminine, and at how they're not really two separate parts, that they're actually two aspects of a whole. So, and further, when one speaks of a god or a goddess, it really depends on where your perspective is and where you're coming from. So if you have that that dualistic perspective where there's a half of a whole, then there is a way to work with what she's trying to teach. But then if you're at a space where you're trying to go from a dual perspective to a non-dual perspective, you're able to see how the masculine and feminine aspects are actually the two different faces of the same coin, and how you're able to actually work with that to evolve beyond where you are. So the concept of God and goddess, it overall, from a universal perspective, they are the same.
So I think
Yeah.
there's, as you say this, there's something that popped up in my mind. There's a cricket going on outside my house, so that's part of nature, I guess. So, as you talked about God and goddesses, what I meant by God is really the creator that created us. But what I wanted to say that you brought me to an awareness is our concept of God has always been masculine. And then in my head, why can't God be, I mean, when I talk about God, not the goddesses like the deities, not like Isis or Guan. No, when I talk about God, it's about the creator of the universe. So why is it that my concept of God is a man? And we've all been conditioned to think that God is a man. Why can't God be a woman, so to speak? And that is quite liberating for me.
Well, that's a really good question, and that's a question that's shared by many, both men and women. One, when you look at the concept of as God as a he who created all things, you have to think about where that came from. It comes from a conditioning from, albeit younger religions, which are the major religions of today. But then it's also good to think, well, if that's what they're teaching and that's how we were conditioned, what came before that? Because you have to understand each cultural or each time had its own set beliefs and systems. So obviously there had to be something before that. So if God is a man, then of course God can be a woman too. Or
Yeah.
maybe, you know what I mean? It's totally possible. So you also have to be conscious of where you are and what your perspective is. Because if God is a man, then that's something that is going to create your life and create and shape and mold your behavior, how you do things in the world. When you look at it on the flip side, well, God is actually a female. That one, like you said, is very liberating, and two, it actually empowers those that actually need to have that external source of permission to say your existence is just as valuable.
Mm.
So, and I mean, there are communities that and that say, God is actually goddess, not one or the other. So you have those that say it's God is a man. You have those that say God is a woman, and then you have those that say, well, that which created all things is both and neither.
That's so interesting because I think unconsciously, because we think and believe that God is a male, and what does for us women is unconsciously we see our male counterparts as above us, and we it's now with this thing about feminine and masculine and women fighting for their rights, obviously it's hard because you see the man as above you and because you see God as this guy, and therefore in your simple mind you see men as like authority figure outside ourselves, and it's hard for us women who are going for it and are striving for it to actually just twist it about and just see we're all equal. What if men and women are just equal and God can be goddess and goddess can be God? I mean, we all know that God shows himself or herself to you in the form that you need. So it can be a man and it can be a female. So that fundamental root belief of God is a man has to change, because in the angelic realm, really the angels, there's no guy and female. It's just the energy. And that for the human beings to understand it simpler or easier, and then therefore we gave them a masculine name or a feminine name so that we can understand in our own human mind.
Right. Right. And in that gets lost in the translation. It's like we understand the fundamental root. Well, I need to put this in a human form so that I can better understand what's going on. But then you forget that that's what you did, because fundamentally, essentially, there is no man, there is no woman. It's energy, and it's a type of energy. It could be a masculine energy, but it doesn't mean it's a man's energy. It could be a feminine energy, but it doesn't mean it's a female's or woman's energy. men and women have both masculine and feminine energy within themselves. So it's not a matter of man woman. But yeah, like you're right. It's really remembering or coming to that perspective that, hey, fundamentally, when your bodies are gone, it's not one or the other. It's both and neither.
Yeah, I think it's more confusing for people to understand because on the physical level, it is obvious that I'm a woman, and it is obvious that my husband is a man. You know,
Right.
it's really weird for him to find out that I'm actually a man. He would probably kill himself. But, but that's not the point. But the point is,
Right.
I think going back to the goddess Neve, it's like she said, I created myself. And what that means to me right now is you create your life. You are the co-creator. You are creating your own universe. But first, when you told me that, I'm like, okay, so where does the universe, where does God come into this place? But I think now diving deeper, it really means that it's about you creating your life, you taking responsibility of your own life and creating what God has the power to.
Right, and in addition to that, it's also being aware of where you are with your perspective. So if you're in a place where you think everything's horrible, the world's against you, it's really negative, and your self-talk is really not in service to you, creating your life is around that perspective. So in desiring something more, you have to get to that as well and change it and shift it, even if it starts bit by bit. But with being a co-creator to, that higher power, it takes a lot of awareness and a lot of honesty, a willingness and action to actually make that change happen.
Mm. So I'm actually really curious, like, what is your art on your face? I mean, is it,
Okay.
I don't want to be
Okay,
rude, but
so the gold specifically, because of its vibrational qualities, it's my way of connecting to my source, which is, the waters of creation, and also making a statement that I am devoted to my connection to you, and I am devoted to my practice. I'm devoted to my mission, and it's a reminder. It's a reminder. Um, and it came through, let's see, on my 28th birthday, I believe. I woke up and I was like, I need to wear gold. I don't know. I don't know, where am I going to get gold? Where am I going to find it? So I bought mica pigment as a dust, and I just started anointing myself. So that's what it means. It's a
okay.
devotional practice.
So do you look like this on a daily basis?
On a daily basis. So when I'm in the house, if I'm going to engage in any creative activity, especially with activities where I'm putting out into the world, it has to go on.
Hmm.
Um, in the events it doesn't go on, I get headaches. It's like a reminder, and once I put it on, it goes away. Or I'm just not focused. I cannot maintain my focus, and and I sit and I wonder why can't I get this done? Oh my gosh, I forgot to adorn myself. And most definitely when I leave the house, it's mandatory.
Ah, okay, interesting. So I know you talked about dream work with me as well. So how is this process of initiation helping you deliver your gift in the world?
So with the dream work, it's wow. A lot of people that I've come across when I go into a conversation regarding what it is that I do, it's always, oh my gosh, I can't remember my dreams, or I don't dream, or my dreams are always scary. And so the bottom line is to bring awareness to the value in your dreams, and that anyone can document their dreams, can do dream work. You have to want to do it. You have to set an intention to do it. It's a practice, like with anything else. So it's not a matter of you not remembering, you not dreaming, just that you don't remember. Usually don't remember. But when I get
I
into that
usually
conversation,
don't remember. I usually don't remember because by the time my head hits the pillow, I'm like so freaking tired. I'm like, okay, I don't want to. It's like I just sleep. So does that mean?
right,
So what does that mean? Do I or did I not have any dreams that I
no,
just?
did have dreams, just that you didn't set any intention to remember them. Like when you go to sleep, if you're thinking about how busy your day was or how horrible your day was, if your thoughts are on your day and not on your inner process, you're not going to remember. Your mind is not going to release itself and say, okay, I'm going to kick into the back seat. I'm going to go into the back seat so that the unconscious can come through, and I'm going to make sure I take notes. That's not something you've set up, and it's something that you can do, but with practice. It takes dedication. With anything that you've dedicated time to do, it's the same with dream work.
But you know, the thing is, I'm really so tired, and sometimes on rare occasions that I do have dream, I feel it's really energy sapping because I have to consciously, it's like I'm playing in the role and it's like reality, and I wake up, I'm not sure, I actually do feel tired because, you know, it's
Yeah.
semi-conscious.
Yeah, well, it is. It's a separate level of reality. It's not really so apart from your waking state. It's actually an intricate part of your total being. So it's a different dimension of reality, but it's just as valid as this one. And yes, you can feel very fatigued after waking up from an intense dream. I've had dream experiences where I
But
would
you know,
be.
sorry, but you know there are some dreams that are so yummy that I actually don't want to wake up, and boom, my child would make noise, and then I'm like, oh, can you just be quiet? I want to be still in my dream. It's always like this. I hate that. You know, it's so exciting. And then like, oh my God, okay, the story is gonna come very soon, and mommy.
Yeah, well, and the thing about doing dream work, which is really tricky, is that as soon as you wake up, it's like you have to write it down, or you're going to consciously forget it. It'll stay with you, but it is a dedicated practice. So it's like, I set intention before I go to sleep, and then I wake up, and it's like I have to wake up and not reach for my phone. I have to wake up and not reach for my computer. I have to, you know what I mean? So it can get difficult when you have other people around you or in your household. I mean, but there are ways that you can actually set time and say, hey guys, try not to, wake me up later, or have a tape recorder by your bed, so that if you can, in the midst of distraction, you grab it and you start talking about the dream and beginning to tend to your daily ritual.
So what do you think the dreams are? Are they reality? Are they altered realities? Or are they happening in another dimension? Okay, so hang on to that question. But what I was saying is like, you know, in the middle of the night, 3 o'clock, and it's everyone's supposed to be sleeping. And I'm having this fantastic dream, right? And then out of nowhere, when the storyline is becoming more exciting, something will happen. The chickens outside will croak, or I would just be, it's like, this is like the key, and I'm not getting there. It's like, and then something happens. So that's not very nice. And when I wake up to like pacify my daughter, and I try to convince myself now go back to that particular moment.
Well, it's possible to do that. I don't want to, say for those that have more experience with documenting their dreams, they can, I wouldn't say put it on pause, but they can pick up. Well, it depends on what kind of dreams, because you have the dreams where you're aware you're dreaming, you have the dream where you're not aware of your dreaming, you have a dream within a dream within a dream. So many different variations, but
Dreams.
yeah, but I mean, it's possible to jump back in and still know that you're in that same dream from before, but you're picking up at a different point, or to pick up from where you left off. It's totally possible, but it takes a lot of skill, and the skill I'm speaking to is the depth of your connection to yourself, so that once you flip the switch on, it runs.
So it's like meditation, right? Because you know the first time you meditate, like, oh gosh, please take me away.
Yes.
You know, it's so
Yes.
horrible.
Yes.
And so you train your mind. Like every time I sit here, I listen to music, and boom, you go into that altered awareness. So it's like that. So to answer that, so I want you to answer me that question, like, so what are dreams? Are they altered reality? Are they actually happening? Are they like, you know, what about deja vu? You know, what's that? I mean, give me an explanation with that.
So what dreams are, there are different perspectives on it. There's a Western perspective. There's a traditional indigenous perspective. So from the indigenous and traditional perspective, they are they exist within a different dimension, deep within yourself or in the universe per se, and it's your gateway to access a large amount of information. So from that perspective, dreams are messages from beyond, or messages for the tribe, or messages for the people, and they're real. They're considered real and valuable. From the Western's perspective, there are a variety of things. Dreams have been defined as your day playing out for you to understand what happened. It's your processing time. There's been a lot of research done that say, hey, dreams that tell you of events before they happen, precognitive dreams, those are possible. Or dreams of prophecy, which can be controversial within a Western perspective per se, because the West has a very scientific mindset, and if it's not tangible, then it's not real. But there's enough dream research that says dreams can be a variety of anything, versus in the Western, the traditional or indigenous aspect, they're real, they're valuable, and you need to pay attention because it's necessary for your growth and for the growth of your community.
Okay, so how does your work about dream work blend in with helping one find themselves from within?
Okay, so when it comes to dream work, what you're doing is you're developing your sense of awareness. You're developing your connection to yourself, self-reliant. You're more reliant on how you feel. You're more reliant on where your emotions or that energy is coming from. And you're better able to discern for yourself what's wish fulfillment, meaning what you would like to have happen, versus your ability to say, okay, I need to step out of the way and allow this, or allow things to happen, or allow something to happen. So with dream work, even though I say there's dream work, and you start the practice of remembering your dreams, but it's also the process of doing that's most important. So the end goal of dream work is not what I stress for, but it's you developing that awareness that's necessary for it.
So who are the people who generally come to you who needs your services? What kind of people generally identify, like, okay, I need to find Alaya?
So lately it's mostly been women, and women that are having a hard time understanding their where they are in their life, or how they fit in, or why they were born in this time, and they don't understand what to do or how to move forward, and they want a better understanding of how to maneuver, or to understand their dreams, or to understand synchronicities that happen, or to understand a call that they feel but are not sure how to approach it. They feel, okay, I have to do something, but I don't like that approach. I don't know how to approach it, so can you help me? And we talk about it. We talk about their experiences, and then we just take it from there.
Awesome. And I think it's really interesting, like how dream work has got to do with like finding your inner self and so on and so forth. It's quite cool. I mean, to me, dream is dream, especially if I'm Chinese, right? Like, we always have this belief, oh, if we dream of something, then the opposite will happen. This is like very traditional belief. So as Chinese, we have our own
Right.
traditional sets of interpretation. But yet there is actually a level of science, if you call it, behind it. Right?
There, for every culture of humanity that exists, there is a way to do something. But yes, so when we look at the Western way, And I'm going to dub it as American Western because European Western, when you speak about dreams, they're like, oh yeah, and then they go into what sounds more of like a traditional or an indigenous perspective. So, but with regards to American Western perspective, they have the scientific aspect of it, which is more in the neurological studies of the brain and hormones and and psychology. But when it comes to interpreting your dreams, I'm going to say it that way, you really need to have a handle on what your perspective is, what perspective you stand in. So like for you, for instance, if you're coming from a Chinese traditional background, that would be your primary lens of looking at it. And so in order to understand if your interpretation is sound, where you feel that there's clarity in it, then you would also consider what's going on in your waking life as well. So if things around you are matching up to what's going on inside of you via your dreams, then the way you've interpreted it, it's perfect, it's done, it's correct. However, if you come from that perspective, but your external circumstances are not matching up with how your dreams are telling you things are, then perhaps you need to take a different perspective, or perhaps you need to integrate another perspective so that you can better understand what your dreams are trying to say, because dreams can have an effect on your external life, and if they're not in alignment, then that's where a lot of confusion and frustration comes up. Yes.
So tell me, like, how would one know? Can one interpret the dream on their own?
You can. It takes a lot of skill and practice because you have to understand what the symbols mean to you. And if you don't know, like I've had a couple of times where a couple symbols have come up for the first time ever, and I say, I have no connection to this. What does this mean? That's when you would go on a hunt for what they mean in different cultures. And then you find the one that resonates most, not just with you, but with what the dream is saying and with what's going on in your life. So dream interpretation it's a very intricate and delicate process, and it takes time, but it's totally possible. It's highly possible for you to do so yourself.
So is the goddess Neith in part of this process of interpretation? How does she come in your work?
Well, if women or men, if people are wanting to just learn more about themselves without delving into her mysteries, then it's totally possible. I mean, I pull from it and I'd say, okay, well, she's saying learn from within, create yourself from within yourself. If people want to learn apart from that, it's possible. However, if those that actually want to initiate into the mysteries of Neith, it's dreams. For me, dreams are more than just a process that happens when you sleep. I see it as another level of reality that's constantly going on, and that actually is what sets the stage for your waking life. So in the mysteries, it's really a matter of you being able to maneuver the unseen that's within you so that you can have a better handle on things that come to fruition in your waking life. So working with dreams, it can jump, in both, it can be in both baskets. It's just a matter of how deep the person wants to go.
So it's like if we come to you, or if anyone comes to you, it doesn't mean that they have to believe and worship, right, so to speak. I know she doesn't want to be worshipped, but that's the word that I can come up with now. Right. In her, so your work is solely your work, and your work is basically learning from her lessons, her philosophy of finding yourself within yourself, creating yourself within yourself to help you work with your clients to help them get results, right?
Yes. Yes.
So tell us, where can we find you and your good work on the internet? So I was going to say something about, earlier on you had clients where they were wondering why they are born in this time, and I'm thinking, why wouldn't you want to be born in this time? This is like the most happening and interesting era. I mean, I had like past life regressions, and during those times where you have to sit on the host card, and I mean, come on! I mean, this is such a wonderful time to be. You have internet, you have, just flip in the, fast food, and everything is just within your fingertips. Why wouldn't you want to be born in this time? But of course, that being said, during those times, money wasn't such a big process. You can just have a little bit, but poverty still exists there during those.
Well,
times.
I mean, part of it has to do with how they view themselves and how they view their life. So if they're not clear on why they exist, if they're not clear on that, it's going to come out like that. Why was I born in this time? I don't belong in this time. It's going to come out like that. But if they're at a place like similar to where you are, where they feel really good about what they're doing and they just want to improve themselves, it's not. It's not a. I can't understand why you would say that. It's like that's.
Yeah. So tell us where can we find you on the internet? My favorite place.
So I'm revamping the website. It's at www.templeofneath.org. And right now, so if you go there now, you see this beautiful countdown that counts down to site launch. But you can also subscribe to any updates that I would make to the website if I'm launching it. And then also made any upcoming webinars or materials that I will be. I am in a process of a webinar series regarding me for practices and things that people can actually use as a freebie for side deeper into. And I'm also crossing the Facebook page so that they're both really.
Awesome. So thank you so much, Alaya, for your time. And, it's been such a wonderful and interesting conversation about God, about, I mean, one thing that I've learned out of this conversation is really food for my thought. It's like, who said God has to be guy? I mean, female. I mean, male. He can be female. And that's accepting the entire truth, right? Like what you say, it's the whole, the he and she is the whole. So I'm going to think about it and meditate upon it, and who knows, this conversation will help me attract more, and because it's just in the mind, and that's what's holding me back. So thank you so much, Lai, for your time, and it's been seriously a wonderful conversation. This is like the most woo-woo interview that I did so far, and it did. Although it's woo-woo, but still it's very grounding, it's very applicable to our daily lives. There's so much to think about. So thank you so much for your time and your generous sharing of your knowledge. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, and thank you.